morning and welcome to the hour dedicated to talking about all things strange, weird, and paranormal. You're listening to Strange Talk, broadcasting on 1660 AM in Northside and 91.7 FMHD2 WVXU in Cincinnati. We're also streaming at radioadeffect.com around the entire planet Earth. The intertrack to this episode and most of our episodes is the Strange Talk intro by Starsilk. And I'm your host, Alyx.
And I'm your co-host, Creature.
And we have a pair of fabulous authors with us tonight. If you would like to introduce yourselves.
Hello. Yes, my name is Matt Sparks. Hi, Matt Sparks, PhD. As of recent, I'm going to take the time to brag about that a little bit.
As you should. Congrats on your PhD, Dr. Sparks.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Southeastern Kentucky native, folklorist, historian, fan of all things weird, strange, paranormal. Very happy to be with you all tonight and talk about the wonderful world of Southeastern Kentucky folklore.
Yes.
And I am Olivia Sizemore, stay-at-home mom, artist, feral housewife.
That is a fantastic description.
Thank you.
Olivia, are you also from Eastern Kentucky originally?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Leslie County, born and raised.
Wow, that's awesome.
All right.
Yeah, my friend Alyx, who was on last week's episode, is also from Eastern Kentucky, from Hazard. So she'll be very excited about this.
It might just be worth explaining just clarifying that Olivia and I are from the same county town. We went to the same high school. I mean,
awesome.
yeah. Just so everyone knows, we're both very, very Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah. And so is that just kind of what led you to writing this book, which we're talking about your book that is coming out very soon called Haint Country?
Yes, very excited about that.
I mean, I would say, yeah, in so many words, yeah. I mean, we both. I don't want to speak for Olivia, but myself, I really grew up in this rich tradition of oral folklore and just not only again stories that people had told forever about certain places and things and people, but just when you run out of them, just making them up based on people and places and other things. So yeah, I mean that's I would say that we had, this was a thing a long time in the making for Olivia and I would say. Maybe Olivia can say more about that.
Yeah, definitely. We went to school together. Obviously, we were on academic team together. If we want to go way back, I can remember even then, having kind of we're both kind of weird kids, I would say, just having conversations about oh, I heard this, I heard that, and then later on, I think probably 2018, 2019, before COVID, we kind of had a Facebook Messenger conversation about it. And then the flood happened. Was that 2022?
Yes.
Yeah. And then Matt was helping out a lot. I just found out I was pregnant, so I couldn't really do anything. But Matt was doing a lot of organizing. And I think everyone was just really just sad and upset by, everything that happened with that. And Matt approached me and was basically I think it's time, to actually compile these stories that we've kind of talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just to add to that, I mean, there was definitely a uniquely kind of Southeastern Kentuckian cultural moment of togetherness that happened in the late summer of 2022, and
it really did.
And this book would not exist without that, I think. But I mean, as I found myself going around to different people and talking about I don't know how to get them a house or how to get them something to sleep in, like a sleeping bag or kerosene or something to help. I found that even in those days, we as Appalachians kind of fell back on telling stories in the interim, and invariably those became the classic Haint tale kind of thing. And I had and then once I realized that, this could be kind of a entry into doing something like what we're doing, I started to actually ask people about it and approach them. And, they were extremely receptive to it. I mean, again, I think this is a deep part of our culture, sharing trauma and getting over traumatic experiences by telling stories and relating them to people and just bonding over that. And so, I mean, several of the stories that we gathered for this book were collected during that time specifically, and a few shortly after. So yeah, I mean, I think that this was a long time in the making for Olivia and I, but I mean, it was certainly the flood of 2022 was a accelerator of that.
Yeah, no, that completely makes sense. Because I feel like also a lot of people from Eastern Kentucky at the time, even if they hadn't been home in a little while, went back during that to help. So I feel like everyone kind of got to reconnect, even though it was for an unfortunate reason.
Yeah.
It was absolutely a cultural moment. I mean, it was a disaster. It was a natural disaster, but it was definitely a cultural coming together moment for sure. Like, I mean, I was there for it. Like, I can say that for. I hadn't been there in years. I mean, I had lived outside of Eastern Kentucky for since 2016 at that point, and I was back kind of by chance. But when it happened, I stayed longer, and I mean, it was definitely a cultural moment, I would call it.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there, but just from what I saw in Lexington, being nearby there, I saw so many people. I have a lot of friends from Eastern Kentucky, and I know a lot of them went home. So, unfortunate reason, but it is really cool to see how much everyone like banded together for that. And kind of like what you were saying, like folklore is very much about togetherness. It's very much about, you know, the stories that you share with other people. And actually, since your book is not out quite yet, but I was reading the synopsis. There was you touched on just a couple weeks ago. We were talking about how Black Panthers are a legend in Kentucky, and we kept specifying not the political group, the folklore tale. Yeah, I'm really stoked that you all are going to be touching on all these different stories. Do you?
Go ahead. Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, I was just gonna say, do you all have a favorite kind of folklore from out in Eastern?
Well, Kentucky? I mean. We have, I think we have many, but I just wanted to say, based on the whole Black Panther thing, I cannot emphasize enough how much of a big deal the whole Black Panther lore is to Southeastern Kentucky. I was in the middle of the summer, before the flood even happened, I was at this car dealership in like Hazard with my dad for some random reason. And I walked in there, and there was like a police deputy and like some random guy drinking coffee at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And they're like, "Yep, Panthers are here for sure." It is so ingrained in the culture. Everyone talks about the Panthers. And I mean, I had my own experience with one this summer. I seen, but it wasn't black. It was white. It was a white, totally white cat that was as big as a dog. I might save that for a follow-up book, but I did see one. But when I saw this I don't know, photo on Facebook of like an albino large eastern puma or whatever it's called in Arkansas that somebody caught, I was like, that's exactly what I saw. So I don't know if it's they're moving around, because it's all like genetic and stuff too. Like there was the melanism, which was the Black Panthers, and then there was the albino gene. Obviously, would be like this was like a solid white cat. It was in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Panther lore is very I don't know. It's very, very alive and well, and very ubiquitous in Southeastern Kentucky. So I would say maybe Olivia has something to say about that.
Yeah. Everybody has one, and I mean, educated people, but they don't want anybody to know, because it's like they don't want anyone to think they're crazy or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, those stories go back, and we definitely have a Panther story in the book. So if you're a fan, it's in there.
Stoked.
And illustrated.
Well, it's interesting to me because, like, I'm Alyx can attest to this. I'm like a big cryptid guy, but it feels like a panther wouldn't be that crazy. It's not like it's like a flying panther or like a glowing-eyed panther. It's just a panther. Why would they think you're crazy?
I think it's like the Fish and Wildlife Commission, Fish and Game. They haven't acknowledged that it's a thing.
That it's like an Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you don't want to be associated with like,
I gotcha.
Billy Bob down the road who,
I got you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, it's really fascinating to me because I had I'd vaguely heard something about panthers, like, but I didn't know it was so ingrained in the culture out there.
Hugely, and they have like supernatural powers attributed to them, which is another thing. And then the other thing is also like I think the classic like cryptid debate also about whether or not, because we did have like I think it was called like the Eastern Puma. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but like there's also this like debate about whether or not the Eastern Puma is extinct, or whether I think most people acknowledge that there are some type of large big cat roaming the hills of Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah.
But they don't know if it's the mythical Eastern Puma or some wild cat that has migrated from the west to here because of climate change or whatever.
Yeah, I always heard mountain lions, like it was a melanistic mountain lion strain or something, is what I always kind of heard growing up.
In some of the local Facebook groups I've seen, some people have posited that there's werewolves, and part of me kind of wonders if maybe they're seeing that cat and like misidentifying it. Which, who knows? It's kind of hard to tell unless you get close, and you don't really want to get close.
Yeah, it's one of those interesting things to me because it's kind of reminds me of like the Tasmanian tiger. How, like, for literally like a century now, people still claim to see him, and I can fully believe that they're still out there in Tasmania, and it's like I don't see why a big cat would be so alien to Kentucky, especially because we've historically had them as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I think the thing also is there's like I've lived in southeastern Kentucky since I was born, basically. I know what feral cats are, and I know what cat that is the size of a dog is. And people like, oh, it's just a feral house cat. I'm like, no, it's actually not.
you know what you get to do. You know what you get to do now, right? Like when they try and correct you, it's a feral house cat. You get to be like, well, you see, I have a PhD, and I can tell the difference between a feral house cat and a large cat.
I'm pretty sure that and the feral cats used to have kittens at my house, and they were bobtails. They were feral bobcats. I was like, I know what a bobcat is. Like if I see a cat that is literally the size of my dog, like I'm not that's solid white. It's like I'm not gonna say that's a feral house cat,
And if that is a feral house cat, we have big problems.
Yeah, exactly. I know what feral cats in Eastern Kentucky look. They're not that much bigger than a regular feral house cat. Feral house cats don't get huge like a dog,
No.
but the werewolf thing is kind of interesting though, because actually maybe Olivia can correct me, but like I don't think we actually have that much like werewolf lore, really. It's more there's other animals, I would say.
There's one werewolf specifically. It's I believe it's in like western west. Me and Alex just talked about it last week.
The lakes, that one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And we have a dog man here in Bullitt County, and outside of that, I don't think there's a lot of werewolves.
No, there's like a wolf in Pikeville, I thought, right? Because didn't the mountain monsters people search for it? Hellhound?
Yeah, the hellhound. Oh my
yeah.
god. Oh my god.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Watching those guys.
go ahead.
It's hysterical. Sorry. You go ahead.
Oh, no, that's fine. I just want to say, this is not included in our current collection, but I did recently get a story about a hellhound on Greasy Creek, which is a formerly large thoroughfare of Leslie County. Less people live there now, but like my grandparents used to live there. There was somewhat of a migration in the county. It's well known. There's a lot of folklore attached to that place. I did get a tip that there was legends of a hellhound being there. Ooh. I've not been able to look into it completely yet, but if we do a sequel, but that's my only, to my knowledge, lore of a hellhound wolf type of creature living in Leslie County. But I did get a tip of that, so I'm gonna look into it.
Yeah.
Nice.
I do
See-
love that this book's not even out yet, and you're already like, all right, if we do a sequel, because it already sounds like there needs to be a sequel.
Yeah. No, it's really fascinating. I've been wanting a book like this. You can ask Alex. We've both been very excited about your book. Like, I've been wanting a book like this that documents like Kentucky folklore since I was a kid, and I've never really, found anything that kind of fits my thirst, And like, there's so many weird things in Kentucky, like I recently introduced Alex to the Harrington Lake eel pig,
Oh, yeah.
which is just like a bizarre, like supposedly dinosaur eel pig thing. And it's like I would have loved to have learned about that when I was a kid, and it's only like 40 minutes from where I'm at. You know what I mean?
In Harrington Lake, where, like, can you like tell me where that is?
I believe it's a man-made lake. It's about 40 minutes outside of Louisville.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's I think it's from like the 20s or 30s. I found out about it in Atlas Obscura actually. But yeah, it's pretty it's fairly just a weird, interesting thing.
Yeah, so I'm gonna like totally turn it over to Olivia here because she also has some extremely good insights. But I think that we kind of were inspired by just how how weird that this like random, I don't know, like very like average, Eastern Kentucky town, two stoplights kind of thing. We lived there for all of our lives. How much folklore is like still there that just like you think that in a place like this, like every stone that can be unturned is, especially when you grow up there. And then like you realize that it's not, and there's all these weird tales and stuff. And I think we're kind of like we Olivia and I have like really bonded over this, and we've had like a lot of discussions. But one thing that we have learned for sure is that Eastern Kentucky folklore, and by extension I would say into like Southwestern Virginia, West Virginia for sure, probably Northeast Tennessee, we have similar themes. In the west parts of Kentucky and even the bluegrass, there is like a little bit of bleed over into like certain of the border areas, but it's very, very, it's different actually. Like in the land between the lakes, it's like there's these stories of these like creatures and cryptids and stuff that are very like nothing that we have in our area basically. Yeah. And we're definitely considering looking into exploring that, but I think one of the very interesting things that we've done with this book is realizing how unique the tropes and the themes in like Eastern Kentucky folklore are.
Yes.
Yeah. It actually makes me really happy that you guys have felt the need to document a lot of this stuff. It really feels like a lot of this stuff should have been documented a long time ago by like cultural anthropologists, and they just never got around to it. So I'm genuinely happy that you guys have decided to make our state put it out there more well known, our folklore, because essentially we talked to Dr. Willoughby about this, extensively. This is our culture, this is our heritage, you know what I mean? Not just as Eastern Kentucky, but Kentucky as a whole. This is part of us, this is part of who we are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the more important things about doing this for us is just like, a lot of this stuff would be lost to time if someone doesn't, take the time to sit down and talk to their mama or talk to their papa and just record the stories. We already have, I think, 2 stories from people who are deceased now that, they would have been completely gone if we hadn't have done that,
Yeah.
And then that's just like complete loss of our culture.
Yeah, absolutely. So like personal story, but I think it will be very relatable to a lot of people. So like when I was young, my parents were both like working full time, and like I was basically raised by like my grandparents in the neighborhood. And at the time we were living in Owsley County, and my dad's from Perry County, my mom's from Leslie County. They compromised on living in Owsley County, and that's where I was raised till I was 5. but I was raised, but like actually the part of the reason why this book was written was because of these two people that my parents like let me stay with as a child, Junior and Anita Fox, and they were like totally into like the paranormal. Like if there were ever like an Appalachian Gothic pair, it was those two. I mean, like
beautiful.
they show me the books, you know. It's like, and so Junior Fox told two of the stories in the book, and Anita, his wife. I mean, like. They are totally responsible for my interest in like the Appalachian Gothic weirdness of like just the naturally, you know, Junior was like a coon hunter and a coal miner, and Anita was a you know, like and they just spoiled me to death with, you know, every scary story that they had. And then when Nightmare Before Christmas came out, you know, they went to the store and got it for me and let me watch it. So I mean, like Appalachians, like we have this Gothic dark side of appreciation of our culture that is like wonderful. And I mean, yeah, unfortunately Junior is deceased. He was one of the folks that I dedicated this book to.
I'm glad you're able to do that.
Yeah. And he really was a big part of my, well, and Anita as well. But you know, they were instrumental in me getting into the weird, really weird side of Appalachia, and the world as well. But you know, in Appalachia specifically, and yeah. So I mean, this book bears a lot of, it has a lot of strands that are from. You know, I mean, that continue to modern times. I mean, like, there's, you know, modern people who are telling some stories. I told some stories. Olivia told some stories. You know, like, I mean, we are like a part of this chain. But there's also people like Junior who are now dead. There's also people like my great grandfather who would tell Haint tales to his family, and I like had to find a recording of it to like adapt it. And I mean, Olivia also, I'm sure, has some similar stories, but you know, it's like, this is a very, collecting these tales is really it's a conversation. It's a great storytelling session between many generations living and dead of Appalachian paranormal story enthusiasts.
I think that's so cool, because in a way you get to kind of put that all together, and it's almost like everyone's getting to sit around the same spooky little campfire together, you know, sharing all their stories in one place.
That's kind of what it seems like, actually. I think if we do the book right, I think, which I hope that we did, I think that that's the vibe that you're going to get. That's what I hope.
Well, I love that. I absolutely love that. Olivia, I know in the synopsis as well, it mentions that you were inspired by the works of Stephen Gamble, who I absolutely love his art. It scared the absolute crap out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah, definitely. I think so many people have that like formative experience of like going into a Scholastic book fair and seeing that, you know, those covers and that art and just being, you know, blown away. Yeah, he is definitely the biggest inspiration for the visual component of the book. It is partially illustrated. I think I have like 20, I think I did 26 or 27 and all. Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, immediately I you know, his influence is very much there. I think longtime fans of the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark series will hopefully appreciate it.
Well, in that vein, wasn't that a lot of folklore stories as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, there was even a compendium in the back that would kind of tell you like where those stories originally came from, which we also did because we wanted to make sure people knew, you know, as close as we could get it. You know, sometimes we didn't always have an exact holler or exact part of this county or that county, but we wanted to make sure there was that as well.
Might be for the best that you don't get some random idiots going into random hollers though at the same time.
We tried to do a disclaimer, and we tried to basically tell people like, look, this is private property. Yeah. Like, do not, you know what I mean? Yes. Don't live around with Appalachians in southeastern Kentucky because you will probably get shot. So, you know.
I was talking to someone about that this week. So my extended family is all from West Virginia, and I'm about to go back there, you know, for Mothman Fest, and It is so funny going out there because they're so weird about strangers, but as soon as I like tell them like my family and stuff, they're just like, oh, all right, how are you doing? It changes so quickly once they realize you're not just some random person who's out in the middle of West Virginia for no reason. But I'd say it's kind of similar. Yeah, you don't want it to be just like trespassing in people's like area. They want to be left alone for the most part, especially if they're, you know, coming forward and talking about having seen, you know, like a panther in the woods. Like, yeah, they're probably going to want to be left alone.
Yeah, very interesting subject that you touched upon, because I think that this is where the whole, like, you know, Olivia and I being locals thing kind of really played a huge role in the success of this project, because I mean, yeah, Appalachians are very, I would say, probably historically, rightfully wary of outsiders.
Correct.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and probably, and to this day, I mean, still, I think it's fair.
Yeah, that entirely
but
fair.
you know, I mean, yeah. I mean, also, I mean, you know, I was definitely, I mean, I absolutely consider myself Appalachian. You know, like lived there, you know, 18 years. I mean, I've moved away, of course, but like, you know, my family still lives there. I'm very connected. And I mean, I'm living there now, so I mean, but you know, it's like, I mean, I think that something, Olivia, once we were talking about things that surprised us about doing this collection, and I think that one of the things that I found was that once that I think they realized that, you know, 2 Appalachian people are doing this book, we were very warmly received, and a lot of people were just passionately willing to like share these stories and, you know, do these you know, like it was we didn't really have to I mean, people were excited about it when they realized that, you know, another Appalachia, I mean, I don't know how this would have worked if someone from outside of Appalachia would have done this project, but you know, I mean, for us, they were very, very excited and still are, and you know, very receptive. And I mean, I think that as long as you have that, you know, element of insider versus, you know, I'm an anthropologist, you know, there's like insider outsider, you know, work and dichotomy and stuff, but you know, working as an insider, I think this was a wonderful kind of project to do, because it was it was so well received from not only people inside of our community, but people kind of outside of it in other counties who I had never really met, but who either knew me because of my family or because of the flood relief work that I'd done. Wow. And I'm sure it's the same for Olivia.
Yeah, I think it gave us a really good head start, I think, too, just because we had heard these stories, you know, growing up. We kind of had a good, you know, how many did we come in with when we were pitching the book to people? I think we had 5 stories and illustrations initially.
Yeah, it was about 5, or I don't think it was more than 10. It was small amounts. I mean, it was like less than 10 for sure. Yeah.
But you know, we had that really good head start, and then you know, our family members would kind of, or at least for me, you know, family would kind of offer this or that, and then you know, they would be like, you know, okay, this person also, you know, you should reach out to this person or that person. You know, and I think it's like, you know, Matt was saying, you know, you wouldn't have that initial sort of like people willing to help you if you were from somewhere else.
Yeah, no, that completely makes sense. I would imagine partially because it's a lot easier to talk about, you know, having seen something when you don't have to already explain what that thing is to the other person. You already know what this is. I saw that. So I already know you understand and are maybe a little bit more inclined to believe me as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Can I ask Matt a question?
Go ahead.
Are you familiar with I believe his name's Alan Lomax, Matt?
I'm gonna say I am actually not, even though that name, I'm gonna say no, but that name sounds a little bit familiar. But also, I mean, I don't know, my brain has been overcrowded with lots of stuff lately, so I could easily forgotten. Like, I don't know, but it sounds familiar. But he
was a traveling musician and anthropologist, and he recorded a lot of music back during the Great Depression from lot of rural parts of the country. He's considered, you know, like he preserved quite a bit of like rural music, both black music and white music, and it kind of makes me think about like as far back as like the Great Depression, you know, anthropology has kind of seen a need to start to like preserve, I guess Americana is the term, but you know, like this American folklore, and I'm kind of curious why it always seems like Kentucky and specifically Eastern Kentucky kind of gets ignored in a lot of this, but there's so much like great vibrant stuff out there, and I was wondering if maybe you had any insight into why that might have been.
Yeah, actually I do, and this is don't quote me on this. This is not like a citation or anything, but this is something that I've thought about, and it's something that I've theorized about. So from what I from just again just based on my own family lore and based upon other, you know, interviews and collection of folklore that I've had with other people around, I actually think that most of the like core stories of Kentucky folklore, I'm talking the big tropes and the big themes, are actually pre-Depression era.
Yeah.
And I think that the Depression kind of created for whatever reason, you know, I mean, obviously the socioeconomic. I think during the Depression, the folklore became a lot more like realistic oriented, you know, because like people can't believe in haints and stuff when your house is getting completely flooded and you're, you know, totally poor and stuff, you know, I mean, like, you know, but like, I think that from what I understand, I think this is just like, again, I don't have an answer for you, but what I'm piecing together is I think there was a huge amount of folklore that was pre-Depression era, that was passed down, that was collected, again, you know, prior to the Great Depression, and some of that survived, but it kind of underwent a sort of change. I don't know if you would call it like a rationalization. I don't know if you would call it rethinking. But I think that there was like I don't know, I hate to say this word, but like, I think that like the golden age of Kentucky folklore was like, at least in Eastern, was like pre-Depression. And then in the Depression, there was kind of a trauma and a shift, maybe, I don't know. But I think people still told stories and stuff, but they still carried on. But the nature of the stories changed. And then I think that I cannot give you, again, like I can't give you like exact citations on this, but I would say that, you know, like as we know, I mean, like throughout history, interest in Appalachia goes through very predictable like waves. You know, it's like there's a moment when people are very interested in Appalachia, then it drops. Then people are very interested in Appalachia again, then it drops. And I think that throughout that, there's always been this kind of thread of folklore, and just the people who have written it down have done so. For example, in like the 1970s, which have been the last of a lot of the really good Appalachian, in Eastern Kentucky at least, folklore books were written, you know, because there was the oral history project. That's when you had like Sadie Stidham's books and Dan Caudle's books, and were written in the 70s, which was kind of when the coal industry was declining, right? So it's like there's like this peak of the Appalachian economy, and then people get interested in the culture. And then I think, you know, I'm like, I mean, there's not really an answer to the question, but, you know, I mean, I don't really think there's been too much really written about Eastern Kentucky folklore-wise, to the extent that we have since pretty much then. And the economy of Eastern Kentucky is certainly not booming. So, I mean, I think that it's, you know, I mean, I think that as Appalachia is, what I would say is that I think that as Appalachia is redefined from the outside, Appalachians knowingly or unknowingly push back in terms of their own culture, I guess you could say. And there is a folkloric component to that. Yeah. Sorry if I got too deep. I don't know. That was
no.
I was literally just thinking out loud, like word salad. But like, yeah.
That's what I was looking for, was word salad, and it was delicious. Thank you. But
honestly, salad dressing, I hope, Olive Garden.
Well, it's one of those things. I always assume that there's like a biases towards, you know, like rural Appalachian people, because unfortunately that seems to be the world we live in. but it's one of those things where because every time I've really interacted with like Appalachian folklore and Appalachian culture, it's so like vibrant and interesting. You know what I mean? And there's nothing.
It's very vibrant and interesting, but it's very vibrant and interesting, but it's there. But I think every Appalachian person, and maybe Olivia can speak this too, can relate to it. It's like there's moments, like we live it the entire time, like being Appalachian. But there's like one moment when everyone is like super interested in Appalachia, and then everyone's like, oh, like y'all are just, you know, like irrelevant.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like.
Yeah.
I do think you're correct about that, and I think right now we're in one of those, luckily for you, since your book is about to come out, we're in one of those time periods where everyone's really interested in Appalachia again right now. You know, people are starting to think about really how old the Appalachian Mountains are and how creepy that is, of just these mountains that have been around for so long that they are now shorter than other mountains because they have eroded over time. I think we're really in kind of like a renaissance of people being interested in that right now. And I think you're right. It kind of does seem to go in cycles.
Yeah, I think some of it too is almost in response to like just how prevalent social media is, like how tapped in we are as a culture. There's almost this sort of like anything that is perceived as like not as like digitally affluent, which I mean we have Wi-Fi, you know, in Eastern Kentucky, of course.
Yes.
You know, the idea of being rural, the idea of like, you know, the nearest Walmart for us is it's like an hour away, you know. We don't have we didn't, I don't know if Matt, you might know or not, but like for a while, you know, we had a volunteer police force, you know, this idea of being so unattached, like, you know, you're almost fending for yourself. That sort of is, at least in the horror space, like you can see people are very fascinated with that, you know, especially on TikTok. Appalachia's sort of been retconned from being like, okay, it's like moonshiners and oh brother where art thou, to now it's like, okay, all the cryptids are there, everything spooky is there, everything mysterious is there, which has been a very interesting shift to see in my lifetime. I don't know if you guys have noticed that too.
Just to add quickly to what Olivia was saying, I mean, like I want everyone to like obviously focus on the last point Olivia made, because I think it's very important, but I just wanted to reiterate, like, you know, I was a senior in high school in 2010, 2009, and I was driving then. And I mean, you know, like literally, I mean, and again, it's what Olivia said, the police force, even if it was volunteer, it was not, you know, I was driving like to work and home, and I was going to like Manchester, which is like almost 45 minutes away from me, like almost every week. And we just didn't, I mean, even if you have a police force, like you don't have cell phone service, literally.
Right.
I remember working in Dairy Queen in Haint, Kentucky, and texting people on an iPhone, and like there's like less than one bar of service, you know, and people can't imagine this is real, but you know, it's like that was the reality then, and even still sort of now.
Yeah.
You know, it really it is, and like, you know, there's a very real sense of like if you are stuck, you are like completely screwed, you know, unless you know, I mean, like just to be like driving that home, like this was, I know that 10 years ago was not very recent, but I mean, you know, that was, I mean, you know, that was when I was like, if you were like alone if you were alone with just yourself, you are alone with just yourself. You cannot rely on anybody to help you at all. You know, you're lucky if you have any kind of cell phone service. If you run out of gas, I mean, who are you going to call? You don't have service. You don't have service. You can't call anybody. And we're driving through the mountains like all the time. You know, like we have to. So,
and much less, I mean, your GPS might lose service too. Then you don't know where you're driving. Like,
we didn't even have GPS back
then. Well, 2010,
So it's like,
When I graduated college, I think around the same time as you, and when I graduated, I still had a flip phone, so I definitely did not have GPS.
I had a flip phone then too. It was like, and we had one bar at the place that the place of my employment in the middle of town, technically. But I think Olivia actually has a very good point that needs to be addressed. I don't know if you guys want, I hate to like be director, but like,
no, go ahead.
No, I just think that part of the thing that we're doing, the reason we're doing is great is because we're actually like, I think we are dispelling a lot of the popular myths surrounding Appalachia, which is not only in the sense of like, I don't know, like you might say like a political narrative, but in the sense of like there's a very real sense that everyone is just lumping every kind of single cryptid that can possibly be imagined into Appalachia, and I think Olivia can explain this better than I can. Like,
so like the little bit that I've kind of I've actually posted a lot, so like what I have posted on social media, you'll get a lot of young, like well-meaning, interested young people who are like, you know, asking about flesh pedestrians and thing, and like that those stories are very important, but we don't really have those. That is, you know, those belong to a culture that inhabits a different part of the United States. And that's not to say that we don't have like very rich indigenous folklore here, but like I never have anybody, like people don't ask about Spearfinger, right?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I got excited.
You know, it comes from a place of genuine interest, of course. But you know, the reality is, you know, more obscure, and thus I think maybe a little bit more interesting to, you know, people who would be interested and just don't know yet.
Well, yeah, like, if I can butt in for a second, I kind of feel that, like, first of all, it's funny you mentioned Spearfinger because, Alex can attest to this. I know, I'm really close friends with a Navajo woman from New Mexico, and it's almost annoying how often I hear skinwalkers get brought up as just a general American thing when they're, you know, like they're a very specific thing to a very specific part of the country, to a very specific culture. And in that same essence, it's like Spearfinger. That is something that I cannot remember which indigenous culture Spearfinger is. I want to say it's Cherokee. Am I wrong on that?
That's what I heard.
I'm not. Oh, sorry. I'm not an expert, but like because Cherokee is by far the most probably strong indigenous influence in our area, and it does influence the folklore. Like I do want to say that Cherokee, that Spearfinger is at least a southeastern tribe, probably Cherokee. I think, I'm not sure.
I always heard she was.
Yeah.
And it's just really fascinating to me because I've seen like references to Spearfinger in pop culture, but very, very few, and as opposed to like, you know, these various other like cryptids and things. I'm sorry, it's just a fascinating subject matter to me of like the kind of the unintentional I guess what's what I'm looking for, the unintentional influence of our mass culture just from this stuff. It's fascinating to me.
No, I'll tell you. I'll tell you straight up as an anthropologist. I think it's. I don't even know what the correct term to use would be, but I think it's homogenizing all of Native American culture into one blob that you can just pick and choose the folklore from, and that's not the case. Yeah, like the Cherokee, which is, I mean, you know, in Kentucky we have Cherokee, Shawnee, Cree. You know, there's many different tribes who were involved in the pre-colonial Kentucky, you know, like sphere. But I mean, Cherokee, I think as far as I can tell, Cherokee were by far the most influential, at least in our area. And I mean, I think I would like to, I mean, I don't know. I mean, and because of that, you know, I've studied Cherokee lore pretty extensively, and there's quite a bit of influence. I mean, especially, I mean, it like not even in this. I mean, I wouldn't say in the sense of story. Well, Iron Claw is one, but you know, in the sense of like herbal medicine. If you look at like the herbal medicine that's practiced in Appalachia, I mean, I've like heavily researched this and written, you know, academic articles about this. You know, 70% of it is Cherokee. Like none of it is like European. You know, and these are like I don't want to say, but like, you know, like white Appalachians, quote unquote, like doing these cures. So there was a lot of exchange, and there was a lot of influence for sure. And that certainly had to have touched the folklore.
I would say so, definitely. There was one, so like I always heard growing up that you should never look an owl in its eyes, because you'll like see your own death, or you'll see the afterlife.
Yes.
And I heard that growing up, and I didn't realize until I think I was watching Res Dogs.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where like there's someone has like the
owl's hanging up.
Yeah, and they blur it, and I was like, what? And then I looked it up, and it's like kind of that same thing, and I'm like, I would bet you anything that's why I heard that growing up.
My friend, her and I both watched Res Dogs, and she was also saying that's a thing in Navajo culture as well. It's like, it's interesting how much like a lot of the stuff's just been like, even like with Native Americans and like various tribes meeting up at powwows, how much this stuff's interchanged as well.
I hate to shamelessly plug myself, but there's like you could read it. You can read an article of mine online where I sort of like draw a connection between the charm cult, the what I call the charm doctors, who were like the male witches and midwives of like southeastern Kentucky, which definitely had a European influence for sure. I mean, it was 100% influenced by like Scotch-Irish like witch trials and stuff like that. Yeah. But I mean, a lot of the rituals and stuff that they claim to have done have extreme parallels with Cherokee medicine, as you might say, and this is like, I mean, I looked at the early anthropological writings and stuff about the Cherokee, and read about this sort of thing, but also it boils down to also just the similarities, like the Cherokee were very matriarchal, like the women kind of like ran the society, which at least, I mean, I think Olivia can probably relate to this, but like, at least in like old Appalachia, that's very true. I mean, like the women have a very strong role, like the grandmas, I mean, specifically, like have a very strong role in the maintenance of the family. And I mean, there's definitely a lot of mix, and that's kind of the cool thing about, I mean, again, just back to the folklore and stuff, it's like we're really dealing with, everyone wants to imagine Appalachia as whatever they want to imagine it, to back to the original point, but in reality, it's this place of extreme cultural mixing, and we can't obviously know what the total reality is about any of it, but if you look at different strands of different folklore, whether it's Cherokee, whether it's Italian, Scotch, Irish, Portuguese, Welsh, African slave culture, like there's many different strands that all kind of connect in Eastern Kentucky.
Absolutely. That makes sense.
Yeah. It almost reminds me of Cajun culture as hodgepodge. Okay to say, it's very like just so many things mixed together.
Yeah, I think so. I've always thought that. I've always thought Appalachian and Cajun, or like even like Creole. Yeah, it's kind of similar.
Kind of like when we were in grade school and they were like, the Great American Melting Pot, which never felt accurate as a kid. And now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, no, I kind of get it now.
What they get wrong is that the melting pot began earlier than the country. That's the thing. That's
yes.
why Appalachia. That's the interesting part about it, right? Because Appalachia was the frontier originally. It was the frontier. It was the, after like Bacon's Rebellion and stuff, that was where all of the, Bacon's Rebellion, it was the first like anti-colonial uprising, and it was poor white people, Native Americans and slaves, essentially, Black African slaves, and they rose up against that, and then like they were banished to the eastern frontier, which was not even considered a part of the country until the Ordinance of 1776. So I mean, that's where our basic ancestor people settled. Sorry to get too historical, like it's the PhD.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it personally. That's the fun of Strange Talk, and also, you know, sometimes we have guests on that are like, is this the right fit for your show? And I'm like, really, the right fit for the show is what I find interesting, and that's everything, honestly. I just love learning about everything. So for the most part, there isn't a wrong fit for our show, you know, other than, you know, we have had a couple of emails of like just pure crackpot stuff that I'm like, yeah, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've got a few of those too.
Yeah.
No, I love it. It's been fun. I'm sorry I get a bit carried away, but it's like, no, you know, I mean,
that's the whole point. We want you to
Yeah.
talk, you know, about what you're passionate about. We want you to talk about your book, you know.
You know, I mean, that's what I think about the thing about, you know, everyone wants to reduce Appalachia to this thing, like whatever it is. Everyone wants to reduce it to some easily fitting the mold norm, but it's not. It's the history of it is, again, you want to talk about the original melting pot, it was pretty much Appalachia. I mean, you know, like that was the original, the rebels of every race and culture, basically, and that settled prior to the 17th century, I would say.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it was it's pretty interesting, you know. I think we also a bit inherited some of the fervor of the witch hunts and the witch trials, which is, you can see in the book, but if Olivia and I do a sequel, which is TBD, you might see a bit more of it. But yeah.
Well, we're gonna kind of push you along here and say we absolutely want you to do a sequel. I haven't even read the first one yet, and I'm already like ready for the sequel.
Yeah, I'd actually, and I think Alyx will agree with this. I'm sure we'd love to get you on after we've read the book and ask you specific questions and stuff too.
Yeah, we'd love to come back. And you know, you'd mentioned that like your family's from West Virginia, you know. So all of my husband's family is from like northern West Virginia around Fairmont. So I've started collecting some stories from up there. We definitely want to try and expand past Eastern Kentucky if we can, and try to, you know, collect as much as we can from that region. So if anybody is interested, like, we are collecting currently.
Okay, good to know. And obviously, yeah. What's the best way to reach you all if someone has a story to pass along to you?
So we have a Haint Country official Facebook page, which is currently the main vessel, I would say. I do have a TikTok where I do post stuff, but it's not like officially like Haint Country related. But I do post about Haint Country on there. So if you put Haint Country in TikTok, you'll find it. I haven't collected anything on there, but you know, it's open as well.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, just I would say, yeah, Haint Country for now. The Haint Country Facebook page is the best. I mean, you can always like email. I mean, we have our emails on there and stuff. You can always contact us that way. I mean, you know, we are anticipating, I hope, a good reception and a sequel, and we've got some like wonderful stories from all over. And we would like to collect more. So, I mean, don't feel shy about reaching out, I would say.
Good, yeah. And I saw locally in Lexington, you all are doing a book signing. Let's see. It looks like there's one November 2nd and then also one October 7th.
So we're actually doing one on the set. So on the 2nd, we are actually doing a radio appearance.
Awesome.
I cannot remember the name. That's my fault. But,
I'm sure you were juggling so many things right now.
Yeah, but it's there, and we're doing. But on the 7th, on the 7th, we're doing an appearance at Joseph Beth Booksellers at 7 p.m. So if you want to come, and there will be books available to purchase as well, and we can sign them for you, of course. So we will be there. And October 7th, 7 p.m. And on this, I think, well, the first week of October, we're going to be based in our like hometown, doing the festival, like participating in the local Mary Breckenridge Festival there, which is our, you know, local festival.
Good. Yeah.
And we'll be doing literacy night on the 1st, and we'll be doing, we'll have a booth set up on the 4th and the 5th.
Oh, that's awesome.
So if anyone wants to make the trip to Hayden, Kentucky, in the heartland of a lot of this stuff, you're more than welcome.
We will also be at the Kentucky Book Festival on November 2nd, which
that's
is
the November 2nd one I saw. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's at is it Mary Beth's?
Yeah, it says Joseph Beth's, the Lexington location. Yeah. Which the book signing is also the Lexington Joseph Beth's location. I know it's confusing because I live in Lexington and the radio show is out of Cincinnati, and Cincinnati has their own Joseph Beth. So just so everyone's
clear.
That's what
I'm thinking of, yeah.
Yes. Because recently
Joseph
also
Beth Lexington Green, Joseph Beth Lexington Green.
Yes. Yeah. Recently the Cincinnati Joseph Beth reposted a photo from the Lexington Joseph Beth when Keanu Reeves was there, and it got everyone very confused because they were like, Keanu Reeves is in Cincinnati, and it's like, no, he's in Lexington.
Holy crap! I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was like a month ago, so I guess it wasn't that recent, but
I know George Clooney's from that area. Does he ever come out there, Alex?
Not that I've seen. We occasionally get William Shatner. I blanked on his name.
George Clooney is actually from Maysville, which is like Western Kentucky from our perspective. But the reason why I know that is not because of where he's from, but it's because he calls what we call vinegar pie, he calls it transparent pie. That's why I know where he's from. Yeah, that's why I know where he's from. He calls it transparent cake or pie. Yes. We call it vinegar pie. Gotta love Depression era baking. Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm kind of curious, but I don't know if I actually want to try that. It's an interesting combination.
I cannot vouch for transparent pie or transparent cake, but vinegar pie is actually good. I make it quite a bit. It's pretty nice.
I'll have to try it.
Yeah. I can send you a recipe.
Yeah. We'd love to.
It's actually quite good. It's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to email that over, we'll make some.
Oh yeah.
And I think last point that we wanted to get in, I know we were talking about before we started recording. You're not sure where it's going to go yet, but at least some portion of the proceeds from the book you're going to donate sort of back to Eastern Kentucky.
Definitely, yeah. So Olivia and I had this this was really, it was very. Again, like this book was kind of born in the moment of that flood of 2022, and we'd always wanted to give something back. I mean, I think that's very just the character of Eastern Kentucky people. I think that's that's our kind of we like to give back. But yeah, I mean, and we've discussed like how it could be best utilized. And I think that our idea is basically just to spread it around. And there's still flood relief going on. And I mean, also I think again, now that we talked, like everyone is very big fan of like Eastern Kentucky Mutual Aid. Like I think they're doing great work. So we also talked about just giving some money like around there, different outlets that would like directly benefit folks in Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah. Which I think it's great that you're doing that.
Yes, 100%.
Awesome. Well, we're getting close to the top of the hour here, so thank you so much for spending some time with us, telling us about your book. I'm super stoked to read it.
Well, thanks for having us on.
Of course, yeah, and I can't wait to talk to you about it more after your book is out, and that way I can read it and have more questions prepared about what you have in there.
Thank you all so much.
Of course.
Yes, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
And just let us know where we can access it, because I'm sure there will be many people who want to listen to it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It will air on Thursday let me open a calendar. Thursday the 26th, 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 91.7 FMHD2 WVXU in Cincinnati, or streaming on Radio Artifact. And immediately after it airs, it pushes out to Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Spreaker. So you'll be able to hear it in many, many different forms. So
any podcatcher you have should be able to pull it up too.
Other than Apple Music.
Yeah.
That's the only one for some reason.
But we don't like those. We don't like those capitalists anyways.
Always Apple.
Sent from iPhone.
No, I'm an Android user. I'm an Android user, actually. Android.
I was joking. I have an iPhone.
No.
But anyway, thank you all so much for coming on. We're going to go ahead and sign off from Strange Talk for the night. Good night.
And good luck.
I was born in old Kentucky, South Carolina, run and go. Fell in love with a fair young lady, but her age I did not know. Her hair was of a dark brown color, her cheek was of a rosy red. Upon her breast she wore white lilies, many a tear over her I've shed. She often told me that she loved me, saying, darling, you're my own. Now she's loving another stranger, while I'm weeping all alone. I'd rather be in some dark hollow, where the sun does never shine. As far as be some rounded woman, think about she can't be mine. Here's your photo and your letters, press them closely to your heart. But this ring you gave me, darling, from my hand shall never part. When I'm dead and in my coffin, stand my pale face to the sun. I want you to come sit down by me, think about the way you done.